All right, guys, welcome. My name is Doug Borghese, aka Douglesby from Echo Base, and I am joined here today by Jason Lee Howden. Is it Howden?
That's great. Hey, how's it going?
Nailed it. Nailed it. I'm moving to New Zealand. I got this down pat. Jason Lee Howden, the writer and director of Deathgasm, one of the coolest movies that I've ever seen. Yeah, Devil Horn.
Yeah, I've done so many devil horns recently. I think my fingers are fused.
I bet that's one of the constant requests. Like, watch when this movie becomes a cult hit. Like, you're going to actually get, like, if there's such a thing as carpal tunnel for strictly the index and pinky knuckles, you're going to get it.
Yeah, that'll be me.
But it's okay, yeah, man. I mean, you're doing it so much anyway, might as well.
Yeah.
All right, Jason. So, what was the big inspiration behind Deathgasm? Like, what was the spark that ignited the creativity that was necessary to make such a brutal and badass movie?
So originally it was like it was a splatter title, Deathgasm, and just me and my mates would just say it rolls off the tongue, Deathgasm. It's a splatter movie. There's blood and guts. We didn't really have any characters or anything. It was just like we just want to make a splatter movie, and so I think later, like really much later in the process, I had the idea of like putting these like metalhead characters. So so putting, I guess, the type of characters that me and my mates were like when we were like 16, 15, growing up in a small town, and I just thought it'd be hilarious, like watching us running around getting stoned and just being dicks. And I mean, I'm still very much a metalhead. I mean, I think my taste had progressed a little bit. Like when I was younger, it was just like death metal, black metal, just all the really extreme stuff. So but yeah, it just kind of came from that, just trying to tap into that sort of vibe. And I started thinking about the sort of movies that I really liked when I was that age, like Brain Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Evil Dead, like all these dead movies.
Yeah, Dead.
Incredible.
Gotcha.
It had to be dead.
Yeah. If it ain't dead, I don't like it.
If it was on the video rack and it had dead in the title, there's a good chance I would have rented it. And so, we just wanted to capture that vibe, get some of the same sort of music. We couldn't really afford like some of the bands that we listened to back then, but we wanted to get that vibe at least, and I think we were pretty successful in that, and just rolled on from there.
Dude, I would say that you are more than successful. Not only that, the music that you actually managed to get onto the soundtrack. I think, what was it? One of the band's names was Axe Slasher or something?
Oh, Axe Slasher. I love Axe Slasher. He's the man. Yeah.
I had never heard of them before, and I went crazy on YouTube listening to them yesterday because of the movie.
Oh, great, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's just so many bands like that I really hope they get a lot of exposure from it, and it's I think that's one thing I'm really proud of, is having that sort of, it's got that sort of dirty, sort of filthy underground vibe to the music. Like, it feels like you walk into this underground metal club and everyone's just smashing their heads, and
absolutely,
it's great. And I mean, maybe if we had like millions of dollars, we could have got like Slayer and Metallica on the soundtrack, but I still know it'll be the same. It's got its own thing happening.
Yeah, you know what? I would say, Jason, that you made the right move, because everything from start to finish in the movie kind of has this really nice homegrown vibe to it, and just having local metal acts and bands from New Zealand like Bullet Belt. Oh my God, Bullet Belt.
So great.
Yeah, having stuff like that on there, I think it actually fits what you're trying to accomplish in the movie, which is to make a really organic, like, just badass horror flick with metalheads in it, which is great. And that actually brings up the next question I was going to ask you. Is there a lot of influence from what you experienced as a teenager and in your young adulthood there? Like, did you Mary Sue any of the characters, and if so, which one?
Totally. There's it's funny, 'cause my friends back in New Zealand watched it for the first time recently, and there was just so many in jokes that only they would get.
Awesome.
But there's stuff with like Zach stabs that kid with the compass, that was based on this real kid that I knew at school. Like another kid stood on his King Diamond tape, so he just like reach for the nearest weapon, which was one of those, like, you know, the match compasses that you draw
Yeah,
circles with. They
yeah.
just like start stabbing this other kid.
That was a
Like,
true story?
Yeah, I went
That's
to an
amazing.
all-boys. Yeah, it was like an all-boys school, so everyone was just like pretty fucked up.
Yeah, no, you're just like repressed, gotta stab
Yeah.
somebody, gotta stab somebody.
Yeah.
Oh,
But,
that's-
there's heaps of little stuff like that. Like when they, you know, they burn hail Saturn into the field. Like we didn't do that because we weren't
That was one of my favorite
ambitious,
jokes.
I guess. But yeah, it's I think we used to spray paint a lot when we were teenagers, and I think one of my mates accidentally sprayed hail Saturn on a wall. And we just cracked up, so stuff like that. I mean, we did used to play with napalm as well, but not to that extent.
That escalated quickly. That's awesome. Death to false fabrics, though. That's great.
Yeah, fuck this fabric.
Oh.
But yeah, it's you know, there's a lot of influences there, but always, you know, also just like the sense of humor and just like a few reviewers have kind of bagged it, but like, oh, it's got this juvenile sense of humor, and it's like, well, no, fuck you guys. I mean, it's like I watched something like Boyhood, which you know, it wasn't a terrible movie, but it felt like an adult looking at a child's life, and it's like with Deathgasm, it's like, you know, it's the sense of humor that, you know, if a bunch of 16-year-olds had made a movie, maybe it had it been sort of like Deathgasm, for me it really captures that sort of immature, sort of like, you know, coming of age, metalhead mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking for myself, I mean, that's one of the big things, and I actually speak about this in the review that I already wrote after watching the movie, is I found myself in such a nostalgic place while watching the movie, because it really did bring me back to my young adulthood, which was just absolutely fantastic, and a big part of that was metal. And that leads me to the next thing. Exactly how crucial of a role do you think that metal music plays in the movie? Because for me, it almost seemed like you really wanted to represent the metal community in a much different light than it has been in the past in other movies.
I mean, it was everything, you know. It's and a part of that was, yeah, like you said, exactly. That was the intention. Was, you know, I watch a lot of films that I think maybe not movies, but TV. I think is really guilty of this, having like if they need like a junkie character or like a bully character, they'll chuck them in a metal t-shirt and have them like pushing people around.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of bullshit. Like it's, you know, I don't really see that at all. Like, and you know, I really want to get across that we don't listen to metal. You know, we don't go out and listen to metal and go crazy and get angry. We you know, the metal does something to us that kind of helps us feel like someone else knows our pain. I think, yeah, Brody's got a similar line to that.
Yeah,
and, it's yeah, because it's really interesting. Like, I mean, I know police officers, like firemen, accountants, that are metalheads. You know, like hardcore metalheads, and
Sure.
it's a real sort of, there's a stigma attached, I guess, to the music and you know, sometimes the clothing and the hair and whatever. But yes, so it was a really big part of it, and the actual soundtrack as well. Like I want to have like the metal kind of reflecting the mood, you know, whether it's an action scene or a horror scene or like a sort of a bit of a sad scene. I want to have the metal sort of reflect the mood.
Sure. I actually noticed that big time when you used Ison's Introspection, which I did catch in the background of one of the scenes there. I thought that was just such a clever placement for that song, just because it's metal, but it's not, you know, and it depicts metal in a much different light, which is really fantastic to see.
Yeah, that's great.
But you know what? A little bit of a sidebar here. Hearing Emperor's Ino Asatana playing in the car when the boys were in the auto repair shop, man, that was one of those moments where I was just like, fuck yeah! Like I was losing my mind by myself in my room, and that was just absolutely great work on that, man.
Yeah, it's I always wish that song was cranked up. Like I kind of look at because I've seen the film like, you know, dozens of times at all the film festivals and everything, and it's like, but I guess you have to hear the characters talk. But I just want to, crank it all up.
Wanted to bring it up. Oh, well, actually, you know what? It worked out for you though, man, because that subtlety is what made me pay even more attention to that scene. I'm only speaking for me, by the way, Echo-based audience that's inevitably watching this at some point. So, you know, you're gonna have your own opinion and stuff, but for me, that was actually a really cool thing you did. So, how exactly how much of your experience in visual effects played a part in the visual effects in this movie? And I know that's kind of an obvious question, but I'm wondering how much of that experience is what caused you to create the carnage that you did in this movie, because it was just fucking carnage, man. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It was absolutely awesome. It was like my favorite part of the movie, alongside the humor that you were speaking about, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think after spending a few years doing 100-hour weeks on The Hobbit, like you just want bloodshed. You just want everyone to die. So I think that's probably the biggest inspiration. I mean, I love working in visual effects, but I think if anything, I think working in visual effects for me, Deathgasm was like the antidote to that. It was like wanting to do something that was the polar opposite of visual effects, wanting to do like just practical, good old-fashioned 80s stuff. And there was, I'm a big, huge horror fan, obviously. Grew up on Fangoria, reading how people like Tom Savini created these amazing effects, and I wanted to kind of try and do our own thing and try and recreate a few of those effects and just see how far we could do the film.
Sure.
Practically, and there are some visual effects, and there are especially the lightning stuff at the end, which is a bit of a homage to movies like Trick or Treat and all those really good 80s, even Hellraiser. And not a lot of people remember when they in the original Hellraiser, when they do the cube, there's all these kind of hand animated laser things all over it. So
the branching out and everything. So one of my things I was actually going to ask you before, was there any sort of tinge of Bill and Ted's to it? Because every time I saw the electricity, the lightning coming through, it kept bringing me back to Bill and Ted. I know it has nothing to do with horror, but it had such an 80s vibe, so I think you actually captured that really well.
Yeah, I mean, I love Bill and Ted. There's been comparisons made, which is great. It's a huge honor. Admittedly, I just haven't seen it since I was just 11 or something. Okay. I haven't seen it for so long. I don't even really. I've got a really vague recollection. The only thing I actually remember about the movie is that there's a really cool Iron Maiden joke.
Okay.
They put them in the Iron Maiden. They're like, yeah, Iron Maiden, and then they bring out this torture device, and they're like, whoa.
Oh my god!
I actually should watch it again.
It's worth it. It's totally worth it. I'm gonna say that. And actually, speaking of, listen, I know what it is to be an artist. I don't like to draw comparisons, but I have to say, one of the things I also noticed is it looks like you have a couple really loving and subtle tributes to some people. And I was wondering, did you get any inspiration from the Edgar Wrights and Sam Raimis of the world? Because I see a lot of you had the transitional graphic of heavy metal up your butthole, which, by the way, made me crack up. And a lot of the snap takes and stuff like this, and a lot of the sideways camera work like you see with Sam Raimi. Did their stuff kind of inform some of that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's little things like that all the way through. I mean, the sort of Dutch tilt thing is
Dutch tilt.
I mean, it works so well for horror comedy, I think, and it's interesting because Sam Raimi used it obviously on Evil Dead, and then Peter Jackson kind of stole it for his movies, and you'll probably notice them quite a few in Brain Dead, and he even uses them in The Lord of the Rings a few times. He does the whole tilt into the orc.
That's true. Yes,
a few of those shots. So
my God.
Yeah, I mean they were definitely. I mean they're such kind of fun, wacky shots that you can't really use them for so many movies. If you use them in any other sort of movie, it'll just look shithouse. Anybody will be like, why did you use that camera move? But
I'm sorry, just give me a second. I'm sorry. Batman and Robin. I'm so sorry. I had something caught in my throat. I apologize. Continue.
Yeah, but for horror comedy at least, it's they're a lot of fun, and there's heaps of little things, and there's when Brody straps the power drill to his guitar. That's like a Slumber Party Massacre 2 reference, and just all sorts of, and also lots of metal references. Obviously the metal up your ass, which is Metallica, and Hammer Smash Face which is a Cannibal Corpse song. There's actually quite a few Cannibal Corpse references.
I saw the posters and everything, and yeah, I saw the Trivium and all kinds of stuff. And then, oh my God, you had that. I'm a big metalhead myself, and I saw that Pungent Stench album that that Medina was holding during the park bench scene, and I was just like, oh shit, I thought I'd never see that again. But hey, welcome back, Pungent Stench. I'm glad you're here, I guess.
It's so good, yeah. I've heard a few people say they've picked that album up again after seeing it in our movie. Like, I did exactly.
Great. Yep. And no, it really was great, man. You really did a bang up job, and this was your first feature length film. Is that correct?
Yeah. So first feature. Hopefully not the last, but
I hope so.
Yeah. I've done a few short films and music videos before this, but it's been a hell of a ride.
For sure, man, and I believe. I mean, I read all about the different film festival circuits and everything that it's on, and just the immensely good job that it's doing out there. I mean, you got people like with sold out shows and everything. So I have to ask, do you have any plans or any sort of upcoming plans to release another film, to write another film, and if so, is there going to be a sequel, or is it way too soon?
Well, I actually just finished writing a script. I mean, I'm on the road at the moment, so I'm actually in Prague at the moment. I was in Amsterdam a few days ago, and a few days before that, I was in like Scotland. And it's fucked up, but all
right, jet setter, I'm a little jealous. Go ahead, whatever.
We're just touring with the film, and just showing it to crowds. But I found a little bit of time just to write, so I just finished my first draft of another film, which is like kind of it's more of a sort of psychological thriller. It's still gory as hell, but it's more sort of serious.
Okay.
Currently into another script, which is like more sort of a action comedy, but also still I'm hacking away at Deathgasm 2 ideas. It's a bit more. Yeah, Deathgasm 2, right. It's going to be interesting because it's kind of complex the way that the rights are set up, and there's a lot of different people. I can't just go out and just start trying to get money for the film, just the way the contracts are. So, but yeah, hopefully everyone else that was involved with the first one is keen to do a sequel. I'm definitely down to do it again. It's I'd love to do. Have you seen like Dead Snow and Dead Snow 2? Like,
oh, of course, yeah, man. Nazi zombies. I mean, I'm kind of obligated as a horror fan for sure.
Totally, and they had that great thing where like Dead Snow was like it was low budget, still like probably 10 times what we had. And then Dead Snow 2 just like ranked it up, and they had like tanks crushing heads and like intestines, and so we'd love to like do something like that, just take it to another level of insanity. We'll see what happens.
Grand scale carnage sounds like a hell of a thing to have on the books for Planster. So I really hope that ends up panning out. And for everybody on Echo Base, make sure you catch Deathgasm. Right now, it's doing its festival circuit. I believe you guys were in New Mexico the other night, correct?
Were we? Maybe.
I think it was. I pay better attention to your Facebook page than you do. Woo!
Yeah, probably.
Greatest interviewer ever. So you guys were in New Mexico recently, but what you need to know is DVD, video on demand, October 2nd. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Jason Lee Howden. Jason, thank you so much for joining me, man. Seriously, this was such a pleasure, and I can't wait to see what else you have on offer in the future.
Awesome. Cheers, bro. Thank you so much.
Cheers, buddy.